morning and welcome to our Live Talk program. This is Lloyd Grubb here, your host on Revive Reform Radio, doing our Live Talk program, covering natural health or health on this year Wednesday. And today I'm looking at the topic Realest, Grounded, True, Good, Authentic Experience, Best Outcomes. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I thank you, dear Lord, for your word and your truth and the way that you guide us along. Pray that you may be with us, dear Lord, as we study together. May you bless my mind and those listening for Christ's sake. Amen. So I'm looking at the topic here, realist, grounded, true, good, authentic experiences, best outcomes. So we're continuing a theme here, which is why live in an unreal life unreal life or a life of fairy tale or living in fantasy land leads to great disappointment. And so when we talk about health normally is one of the best examples of why living an unreal life and not the realest life will always lead to great disappointment. And so we want to be able to do life where we're living the realest life and the realest experience. And realist is a word that is more, I think, a slang for real or authentic or what is true or good. So we want to live a life that we're grounded. We want to live a life that we're living truly a grounded experience, life that is truly good, and we're doing the right thing so that we can get the best experience. And if we get the best experience, I always think that we can get the best outcomes. So an important thing here is that when I think the mind is too consumed by fantasy, whether it be fantasy for movies or books or just our mind going off in daydreams about outcome, we always get disappointed because the outcome is not going to be where we want to think. And so that's why when our lives are filled with magical thinking or mythological creatures, that's probably consuming too much cartoons or too much crazy movies, or enchantments or epic adventures and fanciful beings, it will never end well. Our best experience comes from what's going on in our social experience, in our minds, and in our physical bodies. And when we have those best experience, the outcomes are always good. So we want to be able to live life where we are real friends, and we have real experience, and we have real food. In 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1, we start with 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. And in 2 Peter 2, verse 1, it states here that, but there were false prophets also among the people, even as there are false teachers among you, who privily bring in damnable heresies and denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. So he's saying basically that this experience that we go through in this life, it's a repetitive experience. The experience we go through in this life is repetitive. And one generation come, another generation goes. But each generation have to deal with these things for themselves. So what you're dealing with, those that came before you or went before you, they have to deal with it also. And so from one generation to the next, each generation have to deal with the similar ideas and the similar things. And so you just deal with it, right? And so we have all these different things to face. And one of the things that we have to face here, the Bible tells us, is that we have to deal with false prophets and false teachers. And so who will bring upon themselves damnable heresies. And so we got to know that says there's always falsehood that we have to deal with. So if you are listening and teaching and following the teachings of somebody that's teaching falsehood, or you're following falsehood with your own mind, the result is going to be errors that are damnable, errors that will damn your soul, damn your life, and mess up your life. So that's why it's important for us to deal in the real and deal with realism and deal with what is the realist and what is grounded and true and good and authentic. Because when we don't, fake will get us nowhere. It might feel good, but it might not make us deal with real life. And part of what we're dealing with natural health, I believe, is that there's so much use of drugs, which drugs is alternating or changing the mind and making the mind become disassociated with reality. And people who are on drugs, whether it be light drugs, if there can be such a thing, or heavy drugs, legal or illegal, is not set up to deal with reality, because drugs alter the feeling and the perceptions and the way one think, and normally the results are going to be bad. So to me, health takes in what is physically happening to us, what is mentally, whether it be theological or teachings, or whether it be natural, something that messes up us in the long run and sometimes even in the short run. So notice here, he continues. It says, "And many will follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with words make merchandise of you, whose judgment are for a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them in chains of darkness, to be reserved into judgment. And spared not the whole world, but saved Noah the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly." So here we have the story of Noah, and you have the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Story of Sodom and Gomorrah, for me, from a experience point of view, seems more relatable, because we're in an environment where there's so many fake people. And we're in an environment where everything seems fake. Everything is about looking good, sounding good, but not good, not a good experience. And a lot of people are fake. They're acting, and they act as if they're in a play or something, but they don't know to deal with real life. And I would assume this is similar to the story of Noah, right? It's just a lot of fake people that live in a life that is not real, and it's going to end bad. And so when we see this type of environment at play, I realize that it's not going to end well, because people are fake. And in an individual basis, when you deal with people that are fake, that they're always pretentious and they're not grounded on anything, they're just always acting as if, and everything is fake. Eyelash fake, the food they eat fake, the clothing fake, their behavior fake, fake friends, fake family. It's just not going to end well. And so that's important for one to think. So when you think about life this way, it is the results going to always be destructive. And so you see this over and over again, and you hear these type of stories. But the thing that often is not told is that they end cataclysmic, and they're behaving like what it is. Or are we in an environment where people are very brutish and very hateful? It's just never going to end well. So that was the story of Sodom, and that was the story of Noah, and it ended bad. But today we see these stories over and over again, where it just doesn't end well. So in Romans chapter 1, verse 18 and 20, or 18 through 20, it says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness." So in their lives, it's revealed to them what they're doing is not right, but they're holding the truth in unrighteousness. They know what is right, but they don't do it, because again, they're not real. They're unreal, and they think it's going to end well, but the wrath of God is revealed upon them. And so they act in a certain way. So when you see people acting, and they're faking, and they talk all this fake stuff, and they look fake, and they're just fake as ever, it's one thing to say, oh, they're just going to live their fake life and go about their business. It's another thing to understand that says, no, God is punishing and will punish this type of fake behavior. So this is part of, to me, Christianity. Christianity tried to bring us to the real and bring us to become the realest people, so to speak, authentic people. People that are grounded, people that are into truth and goodness and righteousness. And get away from all this fake life, being fake in everything. And this goes so important to us because, again, it's like we live in an environment where the realest people, quote unquote realest people, and they're fake as ever, are people that always claim that they're so patriotic, but they're the most fake when it comes on to the Constitution. Because, often the question is asked, what makes a person a Christian? Can you be born a Christian? Or is Christianity like a character, behavior? And the same thing can be asked, what makes a person nationalistic? Is the person born that way? Or is the person follow the Constitution? Is it a definition? What makes a person a good leader of a country, in a country? Congress, Senate, like if we're in America. Is it because the person followed the Constitution, or is it because they're born that way? And what you find is a lot of people, they're most aggressive against the Constitution and everything the Constitution stands for because they're fake and lie. But you would say the flip of that is that they are most aggressive for the country and for the flag. No, nobody knows what I mean. As I say, you have people who are the most patriotic when it comes on to police. They are pro-police. And yet, oftentimes, you find that they have bodies in their basement. Yeah, fake as ever. So they're faking. They're so over the top and it's so unreal, and it's not going to be an unreal experience. And what it is really unreal. It's just fake. Because you can fake so much that you're more real than the people who are real. You know what I'm saying? They're like masquerading. But what that does to me, it creates an unhealthy mind. And you can see why so many people, they're so hype, but they're suicidal. They're so hype and they're so great, but they have no friends. But they have the most friends, the biggest following in social media. But you talk to them privately, and they're sad, and they're lonely. So they're not having a healthy experience, but they're having a very fake experience. And so we have to learn to be able to see between the genuine and people who are the realest friends and authentic friends, and people who are just fake. To me, when people are too hype over nothing, over everything, they really, it's a deficiency. They can't relax. And that's make an unhealthy tone of the person and unhealthy experience. So for me, I look at life as that we have to be real. We have to have real experience. And you see this especially in the community that's been described in Romans 1. Notice in verse 19 it says, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things which are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. So they are without excuse. So again, when you're dealing with people who are not real, they're fake. You can't have real experiences with them. Everything in their life becomes fake. So as I'd covered earlier, when you run into a guy or a gal that's acting as if they're a different sex, for me, that person is just not real. And there's nothing about them going to be happy. They're not going to have a healthy, happy experience because everything is about being fake. Because their whole life is an act of something that they're not. So I find in this life it's better that everything that we do is have the experience of my topic again, which is having the realest experience, as they say in the vernacular, common vernacular, having grounded experience, having true, good, and authentic experience. But this also means that you must not only have these experiences to get the best outcome, but also you must have people around you and have things around you, real things that are based upon what is real and not fake. When I read news articles, I'm always condition myself to make sure I'm looking for if they're lying to me. Because if I read something that I think is authentic and is real and is sourced properly and it's lies, then I might repeat that lie. So I have to be very careful because I don't know. I'm going by what the author and a newspaper print, and they repeat. They're telling lies, but they're making pass it off as if it's true. Because the more falsehood we have in our lives, it's more disappointment we're gonna get, and we could end up being destroyed by that fakeness. So it's important to be able to have in our food that we eat. We make sure the food is real food. It's tree ripen, vine ripen. It's grown in real soil and it's used real nutrients. I'm trying to partake of real nutrients from the earth, real minerals and stuff like that, not coal tar derived and not petroleum based. Nutrients. I want real fertilizer, real food, real whatever that is. Then I want real food, and for me that's going to be better for my body because I was created to eat organic. Organic mean from the soil, real. So I don't believe in hydroponic. I don't believe none of that. I believe in just real food. So unless I'm not aware, but if I'm aware, I'm gonna go buy real food and not fake food. And so plant-based diet, real food, and come over that. I need to have people who are real and grounded around me because though the experience now is real. So somebody said, but what if you can have the greatest time, the blast, fancy, over the top time, but it's all fake. See, I don't want that. I prefer to have a good experience, but it's a real experience, than to have a blast and over the top experience and it's all make believe. I don't believe in fairy tales, so I don't go to places that my entertainment is about fake. I want to be able to I want to have real friends. I don't want to have hateful friends around me. So somebody said, but Lloyd, what if they hate other people and they don't hate you? I don't want those people around me because they're fake. All right, they're hate. And when you hate, you can't really love. And then I'm not going to have a good experience. And, but people think, okay, it's great to have hateful people as long as they hate in somebody else. No, that's a deficit. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. Have people who are real and who are loving. It's better to have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 friends than to have 10,000 friends that are fake and hateful. It's going to end bad. And you want to be able to have people that are not deceived around you, because deceived people will end up giving you a bad experience. And I'll tell you why I'm saying all this in a few minutes. I'll give you a bad experience. When I go on a vacation, I want to go on vacation where I'm doing real things, real experiences. I want to do things that I'm doing with history, whatever I'm doing, nature. I want it to be real. When somebody said, but what if you could have an over-the-top experience? Well, I'm not interested in that. To me, everything has to be real. It's not fake. I want to have the realest experience. And I want to be able to have friends that are not fake friends. A lot of people I've noticed in life over the years that I've dealt with, the amount of people I've dealt with, whatever that number is, I find it doesn't end well for people when their life is touched with too much fake. Cancers, you need real food. You need real social experience. If you want to be happy and healthy, it's better to have an experience where if you just, you were judging it from 1 to 10 as an example, it would be better for you to have experiences that are 6 and 7. If that is, and have it long enough until those 6 and 7 experiences start to become 8, 9, and 10, when they're real. But you can have a blast, an experience where, you take some coke or smoke some weed and you did something and it's probably okay, but you have a blast. And it's 6 and 10, but your mind is deluded. And you'll be around fake friends and fake people who love you and fake food and fake this and, food that is just going to cause you cancer and, all these crazy stuff. And you're having a blast, but you're going to die. But it's fake, it's unreal because you have to alter reality in order to have a blast. You want to be able to get to a point where you can eat real food, you can deal with real friends, you can experience real joy without being take mind-altering drugs. And after you do that a while, your taste buds start to change. Your mental and physical taste buds start to change. And you become accustomed to having a blast on just sometimes sitting talking to somebody, just going for a bicycle ride, going for a walk. You're just having a great experience because you have a wholesome experience and there's a whole body experience and whole mind experience. So for me, that is the greatest experience, being able to just enjoy organic tree ripened foods, being able to enjoy I love kale, collard greens, I love salad, and be able to literally enjoy that. Coming from an experience where I used to like everything that's sweet and stuff like that, something that's going to clog me up and kill me. That's why I used to enjoy. But us eating whole organic food has become my best experience, because what I've learned, that no matter what's happening, my realest experience and my best experience is what's going on, as I said yesterday, in my body and in my mind and in my social experience. And so I do not relish I've seen, people in the world, and they want to be able to be around people who are so famous and so whatever, fake as ever. I just want to have real experience. And I find that my happiness cannot be compared to the happiness of those out there. I don't believe so, because I lived in a secular environment, so to speak, mentally and physically. And now, my experience now, I think is much better, because I'm dealing with real people. I'm not dealing with all these hateful people all depressed and want to kill themselves. It's not good to be around people like that. They can rub off on you. So the experience is better. My bodily experience now is better than when I was 18, 19, 20. Just give you an example. And that's empirical, that's objective, not subjective. Because I lived in my body, and I've, been to the doctor, done the blood test, done the blood work. And that's amazing for me. That's actually, when I was younger and I was studying that, like the health message, I didn't know that it would be like this. I'd read some things in Bible, Spirit of Prophecy, and I just really didn't. I used to talk about, what do you call it, like living longer and younger and stuff like that. I have presentations that I do. And I look back now at those presentations, that I did 10 years ago, look at stuff that I was thinking about and studied 20 years ago, people I dealt with that was into natural health, but not thinking that I was going to go from that experience then to an experience where there's days, not every day, there's days that bodily I feel better than when I was in my 20s. And that's some currently, as I sit here to you, I'm talking the realest thing. I can talk the authentic thing, bona fide, and how did they say it? True to the Lord. Thing I can say to you that is amazing. And you could tell me, eat all the fake food, eat all the crazy meat, eat all the thing, and I'll tell you right now that my current experience, this is a testimony of what natural health, what being around real people, and having real social experience and so forth, and being in touch with truth, doing everything where it's real, is better than anything. I don't believe any crack or cocaine or Xanax or Prozac or marijuana can give a person this experience. Nor eating any fake food or being around fake people. That's basically what I'm saying. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. Genesis 2, verse 15 says, "And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it." Now, this text here is one of the texts that over the years I've found so powerful. When I was younger, I heard somebody, I think it's a preacher, said that you could actually preach the whole Bible from Genesis, which the first 6 chapters. I think everything up to the flood. And I find Moses writing this so genius that he lays out the structure of life and the structure of happiness and what is real and what should you practice. What you can get from this is amazing. In 6 chapters, the stuff that he talks about blows the mind. Just even Genesis, as I said, 1, 2, and 3. But here he says that God took the man and put him into a garden, and he put him there to dress it and keep it. So even though we have, how would I say, sin, this is still our task. I find in this verse my original task and my current task. Everything in this life I must dress and keep. Not just putting clothes on my body, but taking care of my mind, taking care of my health. What I'm doing here for you is part of that. We go to school, and what we're doing is we're dressing. What teachers do and the faculties do is dress and keep the mind. They dress it mean, You put something on it. You put some frills and some bonnets and whatever. Design it out. Keep it mean you maintain what you have. Dress and keep. You have a garden. The gardener goes out there and he arranges things a certain way, plant some plants, prune some stuff. That would be in a sinful world. You dress it and keep it. You move stuff around. You arrange it. You design it. That's what we do to our minds. And when you do this, you're gonna have the best experience, the realest experience. You want to have the best experience. So you get up every day. You don't just look at your skin and you say, "My skin is there." You dress and keep it. Your mind, the mind has to be fed. The mind has to be taught. You read books. You listen to seminars because you hear like this. You study the Bible. You pray. You meditate on stuff. Take a verse, a thought, and you think about it through the day as you're going through the day. You expand that thought. So all my presentation is basically that's what I'm doing. And so even though I'm presenting this, I'm presenting what I've dressed and keep in my mind, how I'm dressing my mind. So if I say to you, my intention is always to gain more friends and to develop more relationships, the same thing. You're just dressing and keep it. Your marriage, people say they drift apart. I would say that it's not they drift apart in their marriage. It is that they never dressed and keep it. You see, I look at it differently. You have to maintain stuff. Somebody say, "Lord, why do I have to do that?" Because we do this. We were supposed to do this for eternity. And this is what makes it fascinating, because what we're created in the image of God. In the image of God, created both male and female. So if we're created in the image of God, we know that God is a creator. So the question is, did the God create and stop creating? I believe no. God that's what he does. That's his day job, in other words. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord. That means Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, God creates. And somebody say, "Well, how could God create?" Well, everything God created do is infinite. So he's not only infinite in knowledge, he's infinite in what he does. So God creates. So God does this. God dress and keep it. So somebody say, "Well, what do you mean dress and keep it?" Well, you look at the creation of the earth. It says it was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. What is he doing? He's taking what's already there and making it better. That's the earth. That's creation. God does that. So what we do in a perfect world, that's what we'd have done for eternity. We just dress and keep. So what we do now, same thing. We dress and keep. So what we have, we just dress and keep it. We can't create, but we can procreate and recreate. God says, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." What are we doing? Dress it and keep it. So everything we do this. So your house, your land, your property, your body, your mind, you dress and keep. You always gain more intellectual knowledge. You always want to feed the mind, because the mind that's not fed is a mind that will go down. Because whatever is not growing and developing is always being destroyed, especially in a sinful world, because we have rot. And that's why you don't listen and watch brain rot. Anything that causes the brain to rot and become dumbed down, you avoid, because you want to have the experience. So for me, a real experience would be dress and keep. So that means I'm going to have a better experience. So for me, the most important thing I have is my mind and then my body. The body is a vehicle for the mind. And this is how I experience the world. And as I experience the world like that, I realize that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. You have to feed it, you have to dress it, you have to do it. So you don't do brain rot and you avoid that. And I could talk on this all day long, because I try to spend so much time meditate upon this. So everything you do is always to dress and keep it. Put the work in. And notice in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, and it says, "And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an help meet." So we find again, here's another, you want to call it command. We're not made to be alone. Even if you're not married, you always have to have friends. So we want to find that it's best to be able to have relationships that you can dress and keep. And then you apply the same text to the relationships. And that not only we dress and keep, you're better when you're with people. You're better when you're social. So we dress and keep and develop our social side. When we have this experience, that's the best experience. Because I tell you, the best thing you can do is just sometimes hang with people or hang with your loved ones. So you want to be able to have the realest people in your life. You want to be able to have people that are grounded, that are true, that are good, and you want to have real experience with them. It'll bring you the most happiness, most long-term happiness. Because remember, we were created to live forever, and we are created to be able to have long-term relationships that will gather us and give us long-term satisfaction in this life. See a person is lonely. See a person who either they might be of good character, but they don't know how to find good people and have good people that are real, the realest people. And I'm using the word realest, but I know it's a slang term, but you can see the definition. But you want to have people with authentic, you want to have authentic, real experience. It makes life so much more happier than to take drugs and alter your mind so that you can feel good about relationships. You want to be able to have this in your life. And so we're created to be together. So this is why I don't want hateful people around me, because when you have people who are very hateful, they need to find the Lord and repent. Because if they do this, then what will happen? It's not going to work, because what happened, they have to fake and they always have hate in their heart, and it's going to give you a bad experience. So you want a total all-around experience in your life that makes you just give you a healthier glow, give you a healthier life. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, it says, as unto the woman, he said, I will make, so I have to focus on it. So unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrows and thy conceptions. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So when we read the Bible, we come to after sin, because this is not after sin. We have some readjustment that are made, some things that are put upon us. So we have to deal with that. So sin comes now, as I said, pre-sin, before sin, what do you call it, post-sin, pre-sin. Life went a certain way. After sin, then we have some tough things that we have to deal with. But we still have to just deal with them. And the Bible here doesn't say to you and to I that these things that God put upon us, that we do not move and operate within them and around them. We recognize what's happening here and we deal with it the best way we can. Verse 17, without me going into details what I'm talking about. Verse 17 says, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I command thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Curse is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. So what was I saying now? So whether you deal with wife or you're dealing with ground and you have to work, it's going to be sweat, as I'm going to read in a few seconds, or a minute or so. It's going to be sweat. But it doesn't mean now that because the ground is cursed that you can't figure out how to compost. Or you can't figure out how to. So people do fertilizer, I believe, in other methods to replenish the earth. Remember, we have to dress everything and keep it. We apply the same principles now and we get a benefit. You deal with spouse, you deal with friends, you have to figure out, okay, how do I make this relationship work? See, that's why I preach, because I'm preaching the intellect to deal with social and physical. So now the ground. So we deal with the ground. It doesn't mean that you can't take a plow to the ground or you can build a tractor and you're trying to tame it. Remember, the Lord doesn't tell you you can't dress it and keep it. The Lord says it's going to be sorrowful for you to deal with it, so you have to figure out how to deal with it. It doesn't mean you can't build a canal so you can have irrigation. It doesn't mean that you can't build a lake because you can have a pond so you can irrigate it. It just says that it's going to be difficult, but God didn't say, I didn't give you a brain. To me, how I look at the Garden of Eden story is that God say, I created a garden and you disrespect me. I'm going to kick you out. You're going to have to create your own garden. And so that's it. It's just going to be more difficult. I have to use my brain. You see, God didn't take away our brain. God gave us rules to live by. And it's the same thing with your physical body. You have a body, and your body is going to be buffeted because of decay, because of weakness, genetic or whatever. It doesn't mean that say you don't have a brain. You have to figure out how to make this body live longer. Until you drop dead, you just keep fighting that battle. Be healthier. You don't just give up and say, well, we all going to die one day, so give me that crack. Give me that cocaine. Give me that weed. No, don't do that. You're going to have to try to create your own environment. And the first place you create the environment is in your head, intellectually, then in your body, physically, and then in your social surrounding, with your spouse, with your children. And then what you do, you create that best experience. So this is what we do for health. Health of mind and body doesn't mean that says we don't have bad we're dealing with. So I deal different, at least. I'm speaking from my point of view. How I deal, I just face the realities that I have to face. and figure out how am I going to overcome this? Because we're supposed to be fed with the heritage of Jacob. So, okay, my body is giving me a hard time. I have to figure out to make it better. And somebody said, well, are you going to live forever? No, I'm not. You're going to, all of us are going to die of old age or an accident or murder or something like that. Die in your sleep, whatever. You're not going to live forever. But you want to have the best experience. Now, how you get the best experience? By finding out how to have the best experience. So the farmer goes out and he has a farm. He has to figure out how to make the farm work, as I say, work smart and not hard. Well, it's the same thing. Your body is like a farm. You have to figure out how to get the best results from your body. What nutrients you need, what is your deficiency. We all have a deficiency. It's been 6,000 almost years of sin. So we all have a deficiency. You have to find out what is the nutrients that you're most deficient in and supplement for it. You have to find out where you're weak. And, you don't have to do a blood test sometime to do that. Just go look at your family. Look at your mother, your father, your uncles, your aunts. You can figure it out where they're weak in. And then you supplement for that. Your herb takes herbs for that. You exercise for that. You treat your body a certain way for that. And then you just fight that battle. You don't just roll over and play dead. You fight that battle. Where you're finding this, like a satisfaction in life, where you're finding problems in your marriage or whatever, just address it. Just try to read a book on it, please. Go find some solution for your problem. And you'll be amazed that, wow, it works. You can create a garden for yourself. It's just going to be hard work. It's going to be sweat. You're going to have to sweat, but Lord didn't tell you that you can't get results. He just tell you you're going to have to sweat. And you have to do some work. So thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. So you can come to a point where you'll be like, start with iceberg lettuce. Iceberg lettuce. It's the lettuce they put on burgers. Actually, I don't think you can eat a burger without putting lettuce on it. That type of lettuce on it, it just don't taste the same. Even if it's a burger, you make a patty, you make at home. Even if it's vegan, it just never tastes the same without the iceberg lettuce. But for me, I sometimes eat iceberg lettuce. In the past, I'd stop eating it, but then I realized certain things don't taste the same without it. So if I buy iceberg lettuce, I buy the organic one. The one that's grown organically, at least certified organic by the FDA. And I find, it has a nice flavor to it, and it's milder. But you're going to have to eat herbs. So find an herb that you like. You're going to have to eat something, cauliflower, cabbage from the cruciferous family, kale, collard greens, whatever. You're going to have to eat something, some lettuce, something. Because what happened? When sin came about, what happened is that because of sin, our body needs correction. Herbs correct us. Herbs give us chlorophyll, they help build the blood, and they give us the nutrients we need in an organic form. It's just part of what we have to do. See, the Bible don't say to you that you can't make a salad and a salad dressing. The Bible don't say to you can't juice the salad and do the herbs. The Bible just said to you that's how you have to go eat it. Somebody said, Lloyd, what do you mean I have to? You have to. You're going to die. You're going to be deficient. Your body's just going to fall apart. Look at people falling apart. They need some juice. They need some herbs, some salads, some echinacea and golden seal. That's just a fact. There's no controverting this. Look at people that don't take these things. They look terrible, right? So the body now become a terrain that we have to dress and keep. And the Bible tells us how to, because herb is for the service of man. And we don't eat grass, but there's certain grass that we can get and we can juice them and take the powder, barley grass, wheat grass, that type of grass. Notice now, in the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return to the ground. For out of it was thou taken, and dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. So until we die, he said we're going to sweat. So I don't plan for retirement in the fullest sense. Now, somebody can retire, but you still have to sweat. If you retire, now is the time to start hitting the gym, right? You want to do life extension and all the time. And what you do, you have to sweat. So unless you have to meet with somebody or something like that, sometimes you can just go life where you go life natural. That means you sweat, and by the time you finish the day, you smell your armpit, it don't smell good. You have almost dirt underneath it. Why is that? Because if you don't sweat, you will not detox. So just your regular sweating can be detox. Some people never sweat, and they're going to die of some cancer because the body's holding all that junk inside of them. You have to make sure sometime you purge your colons, you flush your system out by taking something that's going to cause you to evacuate everything, to flush it out. Nothing crazy, just what is reasonable and not going to cause you any damage. And then you have to sweat sometime till you just perspire something, then all that sludge and crud leave your body. Think about if you block up your armpits and your groin, you are going to die because all that toxin is being held in your body. So, did I tell you a principle right there? I'll read it again for you. And it says, in the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread. That's for work. But this is telling me a principle that I must sweat. I must perspire. Because when you perspire and you be like, wow, that scent. Just think about that. That same scent that you're smelling, if you didn't perspire, it would be inside of you. What is that doing for you? It's killing you. You have to get rid of, just like anything else, you have to wash your car. You have to clean sometimes the side of your house. You have to clean your yard. You have to clean stuff. Stuff has to be cleansed. Well, you have to clean it. Like I find myself personally, if I don't I wash my hair every day. And if I don't wash my hair after a while, if like I spend a day and don't wash my hair, my head starts scratching because all that sludge is up in your head. Because you sweat from your head a lot. If you get stressed and your head starts sweating. So everything has to, whenever you perspire is coming out with stuff, minerals and stuff. Like we always breaking down. So you have to help the body and just clean off all that stuff off the surface of your skin. And then sometimes do a juice fast, a raw fast, and purge your system out. Take some herbs and purge your system out. That's how you maintain health. These principles are all in Genesis. Genesis 1, chapter 29, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 says, and God says, behold, I have given every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So when I read this, I always say, should we eat seedless watermelon and seedless fruits? Because the Bible said fruits should have seed, because this was a multiply after their kind. And so that's not a principle, but when I read this text, I often think, I'm not concluded in my mind. I don't know what you think about that. Because the rule in the Bible is that fruits should have seeds, right? And we should eat things with seeds. And so I think when we break the principles of God through our genetic engineering and hybriding, we're rebelling against God. And God says he will destroy those who hate him. And I believe anytime we break God's principle, we're demonstrating rebellion and hate. So we don't break God's principles. We just keep to God's principles. So the question I'm asking you here is that we were created to be fruitarians. Fruit, I throw in there seeds and nuts. So that would be different from what other people would teach you. So I believe apple, mangoes, watermelon, pears, grapes, strawberries, all of these things are fruits. So that's obvious. So we're created to eat sweet. We're created to, our primary food would be sweet. After sin, we were told that we have to eat herbs. Okay, so those are principles that we live by. But here it says that seeds, because in my mind, anything is a fruit, there's a plant, and whatever its offspring will be a fruit. No cashew comes out with both a nut and a seed. But we were told here that fruits is our diet. So man was created to be a fruitarian. That's why when Adam and Eve sinned, part of the trick there was that they ate a fruit. All right, so normally it says an apple, but I don't think it's an apple. It's something else, unless it was in the family of apple. I don't know. So notice here is that we were created to be fruitarian. So that would be a great, grass produce like rice, or then we do like things like wheat, nuts, so forth. A peanut, that's a fruit itself, but it's just a nut. So we're fruitarian, because remember, in a perfect world, nothing would die. So whatever the plant create, we eat that, and the plant doesn't die. The moment sin happened, we have to kill the plant to eat it. So if you eat kale, well, the kale, for the most part, would have to die, if that makes sense to you. So we are fruitarian. So this is a marching order for me, that as much fruits as I can consume, we do. So that's why you can go on a fruit fast, where you just consume 100% fruits, and you will not do good. I remember I went to my doctor, which I haven't seen in years. And he said to me, based upon my total calorie intake, he was asking me how much calorie you take. I don't know why I would be concerned about that. Anyhow, I'm joking. So based upon the calories I intake, he was saying, he said, I know what's going on. He said, you eat so much fruits that your calorie count is low, but your sugar count is high. Well, if you know, the fascinating thing, me now talking to you here, the fascinating thing about that is that if you do the calculation, which I've done, because I've done studies in nutrition, your brain can, not so much your muscle, but your brain can subsist primarily on fruit sugar. What is it called? Fructose. And so that's fascinating because our brains work best off that type of sugars. Not processed sugars. I'm talking about fruit sugars. You eat a mango, and you can eat copious. I remember I think try once to eat 7 bananas in one sitting. I don't think I made it to 7. I think I made it to 5 or something. But it's amazing. But the brain will work well off that, and you can tax the brain, and never gain weight, and even lose weight, drop weight, but getting the calories you need, but get it from fruits. It is amazing how much the brain works well off fruits. And so that's a marching order for me. If you want to have the realest experience, try that one day. You don't have to do it for like a long time. You could just go, as I say, you could just say for 3 days. You say you're gonna just go to the store, buy fruits, and eat only fruits. So bananas, so you have to prep up for it. Just as copious amount of bananas. If you can get some, probably coconut if you want something to chew on, and then grab some, grapes, whatever is in season, and just eat. Don't eat a lot of it. Eat copious amount of it because you can never overeat on fruits. That's the only food that we're told that we understand that is in view right here. And if you do this, you're gonna have the most wonderful experience. You'll be amazed how much your health will soar. All right, and if you can, but as I say, just copious amount. So you have to. It's in degree what I'm talking about. The degree of what I'm saying is probably if you have to understand. In other words, if you're thinking that you should eat 10 pounds, well, go for 20. You're not gonna be able to eat that, but you know what I'm saying. But just do that. You do that for a few days, 5 days. I think 5 days you need to get the real health benefit, and just juice, raw fruits as much as you can, and probably have to be off because you're gonna be urinating a lot. And you're amazed how your body will feel. The body will thank you. So when you do things like that, you say, you prove that what I'm reading here is true. So notice here, Luke chapter 13, verse 24 says, strive to enter in at the straight gate, for many, I say unto you, will seek to enter and shall not be able to. So in this life, what we realize is that most people won't have a great experience. In other words, whatever I talk about, I'm talking about a 360 three-dimensional experience, our social, our physical, and our mental, or what we will call spiritual, what has nothing to do with what is solid. And when you have these type of experience, your whole life experience is just a total different experience from those out there in the world. Because what you're doing, you're having a beautiful social experience with your family, with those that you love. Then you have a total different experience with those that with your physical body, because you've learned now the keys to how to maintain a healthy body and how to improve your health. And then now you're having a wonderful experience with your mind, the spiritual, the mental, because you've learned how to dress it and keep a healthy mind, healthy thoughts, not sick thoughts that you should be, will destroy your conscience and stuff like that and make you do bad things. And when you have that kind of wholesomeness, your experience soars and be better than anybody else that walks the face of the earth. But in order for you to do that, you have to strive. So in other words, when Christ says, by the sweat of your brow, I apply that text, similar. Strive, sweat of your brow, dress it and keep it, to me are the same thought. As I say, the religion that I teach and I believe is a religion that you have to put in your own effort. You pray to God and you work. The Lord bless you as you're in your process. And you put in more effort than everybody else. If you want the best experience, you have to put in the best work. You have to look at the masters of the game and look at how much hours, how much time they put in to get results. and then you put in the same work. As I say, you dress and keep your relationships, right? You dress and keep your body. You dress and keep your mind. If you do this, you have the best experience. And your aim is that you want to be the master of this, so that in your relationships, in your mind, and in your family, you are at the master level. And you have an experience second to none, bar none, nobody. Most people never. Why? Because Christ has tried to enter in at the straight gate. For many, I say unto you, will seek to enter and shall not be able to. Because what we're talking about here is a very straight experience. Straight experience that most people don't even find it. Christ says in another place, recording in another place of Christ, much less to enter in the straight, through the straight gate, much less to be able to maintain themselves on it. But if you can get to this master level, what will happen is that your experience bodily, mentally, socially will be better. Because as I say, I don't want to deal with certain people, because to me, when I see a person hating, I see it as unhealthy for me. Because somebody say, well, there's nothing to say. It's just, to me, hateful people can't be happy. You see, because we have to give love and receive love. And Joe, I say it this way, we have to be loving and lovable people. Loving and lovable people. That means it's one thing to try to love people, but the question you have to look in the mirror and say, am I lovable? Can somebody love me? And most people never ask themselves that question. They want to be loved, but they never ask, have I dressed myself and keep myself in such a way, my mind in such a way that I can be loved? And when you think about that, have I dressed myself and kept myself in such a way that I can be loved? The other thing, you want to be healthy? Well, have I dressed myself and kept myself that I can be healthy? Right? You want a healthy body? Have I consumed enough material and thoughts and meditation that I can have a healthy mind? But somebody wants a healthy, symmetrical mind, and not all-wheel drive, but a healthy, symmetrical mind. Well, let me ask you this. If you think about what you've consumed all year, media, all that type of stuff, will it give you a healthy tone of mind, healthy thoughts? Or are you consuming brain rot stuff, the stuff that will rot the brain? And is it just fake and vapid and fancy, all kind of fairy tale and, adventures and all kind of stuff that is just stupid? And if you say that's what I fed myself, because garbage in, garbage out. And if you just feed yourself all this garbage, would you think garbage and talk garbage and talk fairy tale? The production studios like Disney and stuff like that, are you a receptacle for their garbage? Because if you receive their garbage, you're going to become garbage. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, it says, and the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So you say that we're a living soul. So what is a living soul? The God formed the man, is a clay, and he breathed the breath into the clay, because we're clay, we're just dust. From dust we came, and that's why we have to eat dust, things from dust, but organic, that is. So the man is a clay. So we're always breaking back down, and we permanently always going back until Christ comes, going back to the earth, so to speak. But man is a clay, and then God breathed life into him. So man became a living soul. The breath and clay makes me and you. We are what we would normally call soul and body. We are a body that has a life in it. And so we have intellectual, we have spiritual that we deal with, but also we have the physical. And we use the word of God to instruct us how to deal with both of those things. We have to deal with our physical, we have to deal with our spiritual. So we're a living soul. We're a soul that is alive. We're a body that is alive. And we have a spiritual side that we have to deal with, or the intellectual, the philosophical. That's why we do what we do here, because I'm just talking about the philosophical, but hopefully let's translate to your physical. So you have things that you must do. In Matthew 16, verse 25 and 26, it says, for whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So, if you want to save your life, you have to lose it. And I realize this is so true. Christ teaches in multi different ways. Christ says a wheat is going to be by itself if it don't fall to the ground and die, and then it sprouts up and it bears much more. For you to flourish in this life, obviously you have to die to yourself, you have to die to sin, you have to accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior. But when you lose the world, what do? A whole nother world open up. It's a brand new world. It's a whole nother world out there. And as you get to this world, you start to realizing that the world that we live in is not the truth. You start to touch with truth and you start to realize, wait a minute, what is my true diet? How am I supposed to live? Am I supposed to dress and keep? What type of relationships do I want? What type of wife do I want? What type of friends do I want? What type of vacation do I want? And I want to be able to have the realest, the authentic, the true. I want to be able to eat real food. I want to be able to eat foods that are not fake and chemical based and hydroponic and fake fertilizer. I want to be able to eat the best. I want to be able to have the best experience. And I want to have fake, pretentious people, people that are authentic around me. I want to be able to learn truth as it is in God. And when you start to do this, you start to realize that, you have to lose the world in order to gain the world, so to speak. You have to lose your life in order to gain life. Because somebody will say, Lloyd, I can't do life like that. And I'm like, sure, do the cancer life. But you don't want to do that life. You want to see the world for what it really is. You want to see life and experience life for what it really is. And then life become happier. Because now you lose the world, but what you do, you gain. You sometimes have to lose the fake friends. And sometimes they're not trying to be fake. It's just we live in a world where people are very pretentious and fake. And we're trained like that. And then you have people that are really around you that are real, that are believing truth, that truth, into what is real, not fake and not try to pretend like they like you, but they hate your guts. You don't want people like that. You don't want families like that around you. So sometimes you have to, all the time, you have to lose the world to gain it. And what is a man profited, he says, if you should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? But this is important because you're going to lose your soul. You look at, as I say, just our lifetime, the amount of people that literally gain the world financially, fame-wise, and then they end up suicide. They just decide that I have to put an end to this madness. And you say, but they gain the whole world, but they lose their soul. Because remember, when you fake and you're in a fake world and fake entertainment and fake this and everything is fake, well, everybody around you is fake. Nobody don't love you. And then people are sad that nobody don't love them, but they know they're fake. As I say, you're lovable by fake people and people is enchanted by your fakeness. And then you're going to die because you're going to be like, what's the point of my life? I'm fake. Everybody around me is fake. I don't know real friends. Let's just pew, 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 and put it out. Put out all this fakeness and stop it. Put an end to it. And normally go for the brain because that's really what the problem is. The brain is fake. The philosophies in the head is fake. And he should gain the whole world but lose his soul. Soul means physical body. What I should eat all the chicklins and all the briskets and all that type of stuff. I'm just going to die of cancer at a young age. There's just too much sick, demented cows. I have a friend, he say, there's a certain place in Texas, he said when you drive past it and going by it, you think the grass is all gray or black, charred. He said it's a black cows as far as I can see. And he said he hates driving through that area because it stinks. And then the people going to take that cow and eat that cow. You're going to die. And so you can't live like that. So more to say tomorrow. So Philippians 4 verse 8 says, finally, brethren, so finally we use it properly. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any praise, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. So you're going to be able to think on things that are real. You want to turn off all that fake movies, turn off all the fake friends, fake vacation, fake food, fake all this stuff, and get with the real, get with the realest experience. What you find is that when you do this, you have authentic people in your life, authentic food, authentic experience. Your life will soar, and you will find your true center, and truly you find your center in God. Let us pray. Father, who art in heaven, I thank you for your word and this day. I pray the Lord, you may bless us, that we might walk in the light of thy countenance, that we might walk the path that you have walked, that we might truly find thee and find life, and we might be able to live and not die. May you bless us, dear Lord, for this sake, for Christ's sake. Amen. Well, thanks for being with me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live tomorrow when we should talk about current events. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.